What's poppin', everyone? We are here today for APA Season 5, our draft analysis of my team that I picked up, and I'll talk about that in a second. I did mention in the GBA draft that I just uploaded that I was going to be in another draft league. This is that draft league right here, and it is Ultra Sun and Moon, so standard draft, Ultra Sun and Moon. The only twist is that every 4 weeks we redraft, so there's a 12-week season, so that means I'll be having 3 different teams in total, which is really fun, I think. I do love the drafting aspect of draft leagues a lot, so I hope you all are excited for that. And if I make it to playoffs, or if we make the playoffs, then that means we have access to bringing Pokemon from all 3 of our teams, provided it fits the point requirement for a total, what a total draft is in your tier 1s, tier 2s, and whatnot. But we have access to all 3 drafts if we make it to playoffs, so I'm pretty excited for it since I get to use all sorts of Pokemon, and there's a good bunch of coaches in this one, I think. Nice group overall. So yeah, let's get right into it. So I wasn't actually placed too high in the draft in terms of draft order. I was sort of like smack in the middle. Actually, Gator and I were both smack in the middle. I'm pretty sure, like, 16 coaches, so I think one of us was like 7 or 8 or 8 or 9 or something. I don't remember, but we were basically both in the middle, just like smack in the middle. So a lot of the picks that I wanted, or that I was looking at, kind of went by pretty quickly, but I still ended up with something that I feel like is pretty nice overall for Ultra Sun and Moon draft. And so I picked up a Pokemon that I'm sure, if you guys have been watching me since I started uploading draft, GBA Season 6, I picked up Jirachi. Once again, I think that was, back during X and Y or S or something, like, I don't remember. But that was like early last gen stuff. Picked up Jirachi back then. But I'm picking it up again. I do think that this Mon is really cool. Base 100 stats across the board, and some really nice coverage overall. I think it's a really versatile Mon. It can do a lot of different things, and it has that Serene Grace with the paralysis and whatnot, so that should be pretty fun for the team overall. I think it's just a great pick in general because it can run a plethora of different sets and has great coverage moves. It's also a stealth rocker as well. Gives me a steel and psychic type, which is always nice. Very solid typing, and can be really used as anything, either offensive or utility, or it can be a sweeper, it can be a revenge killer with a choice scarf, even like something to check stuff. I don't know, it just plays a lot of roles, which is why I picked it first overall in this draft. So pick number 2, moving on, I decided to pair this thing with a Mega Pokemon. So I was kind of seeing what went and stuff as it came back to me. I think, like, I feel like being on either ends of the draft spectrum on the draft is really nice because you can get basically wheel picks where you can pick either twice if you're at the end and then it goes back, or twice when it comes back to you at first. But I was in the middle, so it was kind of like, yeah, I kind of have to play this in a sense that if I pick a Mon, I can't really know what's going to come back to me because I'm in the middle. Like, there's going to be a lot of picks there, going there and coming back. So I was able to snag Mega DNC with this Pokemon here, and I really do like this Pokemon a lot. Now, before I even was in GBA Season 6, I actually won my first draft league in the NPL. I forgot what season it was. I think Season 2 of like the minor league or something, but I won NPL Season 2 of that, and I had Mega DNC on that team, and I really do like that Pokemon a lot. But this was before it got the buffs, like the speed from Mega Evolution in this gen, and the Diamond Storm buff and things like that. That was way before that. This was back in, I think, X and Y or something, or Mega Ruby, something like that. I don't know. Way back when it came out. But yeah, it's a great Mon overall. I do like Mega DNC as a Pokemon. It has Magic Bounce, so that's a really, really useful ability. Gives me another Stealth Rocker potentially if I want to have that. And the base 110 speed is always nice. Can be a Rock Polish sweeper as well in terms of boosting that speed up. I think the only problem is that Mega Evolution is gonna be a turn 1 thing, so when you bring it in, I'm forced to Mega, so I can't really utilize the bulk that regular DNZ has to set up with it in terms of rock polishing, but it still has like pretty decent bulk at 110 defense and SPDF. 160 attack and special attack is really nice as well, and base 50 HP it's alright. It's not that great, but either way, this thing is a huge threat. It has all the essential coverage it needs with like Diamond Storm, Moonblast, Earth Power, Hidden Power, something. So it essentially can hit basically everything, and it has some setup options like Calm Mind and Rock Polish and stuff too. So great mon overall, and it's one of those mons that doesn't need to utilize protect anymore like it did in previous gens, but it's always a nice option in order for me to get off a mega and stay in versus something that could click rocks or could click any kind of hazard move without any kind of drawback. So for my third pick, I was looking for something that would give me a ground immunity, something that Jirachi and Mega Diancie would very much appreciate in the sense of, just being able to have a solid switch into something like an Earthquake, for instance. And I was looking at the tier 2s because Jirachi was my tier 1 pick. Mega Diancie was my mega slot on this draft. And I saw Gliscor there, was still around. And I was really interested to pick that bond, especially because Gliscor gives me a ground immunity, gives me an electric immunity as well. Really nice fighting resist too, so that because Jirachi and Mega Diancie both do not appreciate taking like close combats either, so having a switch into that was also nice. And this thing's like base defense is phenomenal. Base 125 defense. It can tank hits on the physical side relatively well. It plays a vast number of roles. Very versatile mon in terms of what it can do utility wise, and even as a offensive mon, it can sweep with Swords Dance. It does have access to that. Decent speed at base 95. Pretty decent stats overall. Pretty good stats, I would say, for a Pokemon such as this. I do like Gliscor in terms of what it can do. It does also a very solid defogger with Poison Heal. I think that in previous gens, you were not able to run Poison Heal plus like defog or something like that, or even Rocks maybe, because of the generation incompatibility with Gen 4 and whatnot. But now, because of the move tutors in Ultra Sun and Moon and stuff, you can easily do that with Gliscor. You can run Toxic Orb, Poison Heal, Defog, or Stealth Rocks or something. It's another Stealth Rocker too, so I already have 3 in a row right here, which is not bad. I think Gliscor is such a great mon, and I'm excited to use it in the first 4 weeks, and maybe in playoffs if I get there. So solid mon. Also a U-turner. A U-turner in Gliscor is also nice because it gives me momentum into something like Jirachi or Mega Diancie perhaps. So that's another option there. So my fourth pick, I decided to jump down to tier 3 for this one. So I decided to pick up a Pokemon that would fulfill my Dragon Fairy Steel Core, and there are a lot of there's some pretty good tier 3 dragons. Like I think there was Haxorus and there was also Kyurem, but you already know I did use Kyurem before, and I definitely enjoyed it, especially for being a tier 3 Pokemon and having more special attack than Kyurem Black. I think the points value of this Pokemon is super worth it for that. I did pick up Kyurem, so as you guys know, you already know my GBA Season 8 run with Kyurem. Kyurem is such a great mon in that, and I definitely wanted to use it more, at least for the first 4 weeks of this draft here. Such a great mon because it can just spam attacks really well and hit extremely hard with that base 130 special attack. It does have, I think, how much more than Kyurem Black does it have? I'm pretty sure it has like maybe 5 or 10 more. Kyurem Black is like 120, I think. So yeah, it's 10 more special attack than Kyurem Black, which is pretty good for what it's worth in this tier. With access to like Ice Beam, Dragon Pulse and stuff. Good moves overall with Earth Power. Ice Beam Earth Power hits a lot of the meta, so I definitely appreciate that. Has access to Roost as well, so this is a Dragon Pokemon that can heal itself up pretty easily with pressure as well. So with Sub Roost, it can definitely take out moves such as like APP moves like Stone Edge, Gyro Ball and stuff. So that's always nice and useful in a Pokemon such as this. And yeah, other than that, not much else to say. I'm sure you all know what Kyurem can do, especially if you've watched me use it before. Great mon. Next, I picked up a one of my free picks. I had like 400 points or whatever. It's what the usual point value is for the free picks in draft. Decided to pick up for my 5th pick a Gyarados. Now the reason that I picked up regular Gyarados is firstly because I've used it before a long time ago, GBA Season 6, if you guys remember. I had Gyarados Jirachi back then, but also because, right, in this draft, you're allowed to use Z moves on any Pokemon on your team. And because of that, I wanted to pick up a Pokemon that could really utilize Z moves effectively and have a couple options for what Z move they can use, while also just, being a really big threat at the same time. Plus, I remember GBA Season 6, I had Gyarados back then. It was really good for me back then, but Z moves weren't even around then. There weren't Z moves in that generation, but now there are. So I think definitely something that can work well would be Gyarados in terms of just having the option to run something like Flying Emvee or Watery Emvee or Rockium, even for Stone Edging stuff, or Groundium. I think there's a good amount of options this thing can run depending on the matchup. And I mean, we just gotta watch out for like random electric coverage, of course, with the times 4 electric weakness. But that's the power of stacking a couple times 4 weak mons together, especially when it's like Gliscor Gyarados, right? Gliscor, of course, being immune to electric is always nice, while Gyarados only taking neutral from ice and having a decent SPDEF, right? So something that wants to run HP Ice for Gliscor doesn't have that hidden power slot for Gyarados. Something that wants to run HP Electric for Gyarados, Gliscor can be immune to that. So it's always nice, but we do still have to be careful of those Pokemon such as Keldeo, which can run like Icy Wind, HP Electric. Got to play around those a little bit, but other than that, I think sort of the typing kind of pairs pretty well together with Gliscor Gyarados. Good typing overall, and Gliscor not being weak to rocks and having Defog is always great for the support that Gyarados needs to fulfill its role in our team. So yeah, Dragon Dancer, great Z mover. That's gonna be my 5th pick with 2 useful abilities, by the way, in Intimidate and Moxie. So both of those can function really well on the team, depending on the matchup, of course. Now for the 6th pick, I decided to go ahead and use some more of my free points that I had, and I wanted to pick up a grass type. So I already finished my Dragon Fairy Steel Core in Jirachi, Mega DNC, and Kyurem. Wanted to start working a little bit on that Firewater Grass. Got the Gyarados this time. Now for the 6th pick, I picked up a Serperior. And Serperior is something that I've actually never used before in draft. Something I've never really used before at all. But I figured it could be really cool because, I don't know, like, Serperior has really been sort of innovated as the meta has gone by, as time has gone by, you know, as the meta has developed a lot. In generation after generation, I think Serperior has really sort of carved itself a role in terms of being just a really great sub-seeder, spamming Glare, spamming Leaf Storm and stuff, and it's just a difficult mon to knock out, having that contrary ability. So people trying to use Defogs, going to go for Defogs, it raises my evasion, so that's always nice. It's a great anti-defogger, and just a mon that can really sort of function well with the speed tier that it has, outrunning the base 110s, I believe, right? Which is like Mega DNC speed tier, Lati speed tier. Base 113 speed is really nice overall. And I think that it has some pretty good options, I feel, in terms of what it can do. I mean, this thing can run, it has like some pretty nice moves in terms of like stuff that you can add as like a 4th slot, like knockoff or something, or synthesis or taunt even. So like I feel like there's a couple like surprises we can do with this Pokemon, but for what it is, I think, I mean, it is a tier 1 mon, but which I guess like may or may not be worth it to some people, but I think Serperior on this team is really nice because we have like para support from Jirachi, we have a lot of Pokemon that can just sub, we have Glare Serperior as well, which can I guess pair really well with Jirachi and stuff and slow down other opposing Pokemon so that ours can speed up. So in that sense, and plus, you know, Serperior having the ability to beat its own counters, especially if we can run like Leaf Storm plus a hidden power that can beat a counter or something. I think in that sense it's really great, and Subleech Seed also kind of beats counters to this Pokemon too. So yeah, great mon overall, I think, and for its speed tier it's really nice, and it also has Defog, so it gives me a secondary Defogger, which is nice. I've actually run Defog Serperiors quite a bit on, you know, when I'm doing a Showdown Live. If you've seen my Serperior sets, I've run a lot of Defog ones. So yeah, cool mon. And let's move on to pick number 7. So here is where we're gonna start kind of diving into some of the lower tier picks, trying to see what kind of value we can get out of it. And so for my, I think, 7th pick here, I decided to go right into the tier 4s, pick up my first tier 4 mon here, and it's gonna be Drapion. So why did I pick up Drapion? So I was thinking to myself, I think I need a great Pursuit Trapper for the team, something that can also take Ghost type attacks. I didn't have a Ghost Resistor immunity on the team yet, and Drapion can do that. It can Pursuit stuff, deals a lot with Psychic type Pokemon. I also was kind of worried about Gator picking up Reuniclus, because that mon has sort of developed itself as one of the best bulky sweepers in the meta, with Acid Armor, Calm Mind and stuff. So Drapion can really deal with that pretty well as well, and it can also just set up T-Spikes for me, which is always nice. T-Spikes on the team are really great, especially paired with stuff like Gliscor and Kyurem, because both of those like can easily sub-roost on on opposing Pokemon that are poisoned. So I think the T-Spikes value this thing adds is also great too. And Battle Armor, not to be crit or anything. Sniper can be cool with with the, the scope lens and sword dance and stuff. That could be fun. But overall, I think this thing is mainly just there for the purpose of dealing with ghost psychics, being a great pursuit trapper, a toxic spiker as well, and sort of just a budget Alolan muck. I'm sure you guys have known me to sort of, I guess, innovate muck in the draft format back in the day when it first came out in Sun and Moon, Alolan muck. But yeah, it's a great mon for sure, and I think it gives me that sort of budget Alolan muck for the tier 4, which is nice. I think it's one of the I mean, in my opinion, I think it's better than Skuntank because it can actually set up with Swords Dance as a Swords Dance sweeper. Always nice, and has that great speed value and decent bulk with attack. It can sort of boost its attack with Swords Dance pretty well. And that's going to be my 7th pick. So for my 8th pick, I wanted to pick up something that could fulfill the role of a fast electric type Pokemon, something that could help me check water types a lot better, as having sort of a secondary answer to them along with Serperior. And I decided that I was debating between either Galvantula or Heliolisk from what was currently left, and I decided to go with that lizard with Heliolisk here because, firstly, I mean, sticky webs are nice, but I didn't have a rapid spinner for the team, or like something that was like a great rapid spinner, I should say. And I didn't want to get rid of my own webs at some point when I try to defog if my opponent out hazarded me or something, but I decided to go Heliolisk just because this Pokemon here, it has a couple useful abilities. You know, it has Dry Skin, Sand Veil, Solar Power, so it can abuse the weathers pretty well. But Dry Skin is sort of the main appeal because it gives me a water immunity. It makes this thing basically something that can switch into water type attacks and not take any damage. It would actually heal with Dry Skin. So I think that's really cool overall in terms of what it can do. And the base speed tier at 109 lets me outrun 108s like Keldeo, Terrakion, and stuff like that. So I think in that regard, it's really nice because I think Galvantula hit 108. It speed ties with Keldeo. So Heliolisk can actually be faster than it. And has some great coverage overall. Like it has electric coverage, hyper voices, and electric normal type Pokemon. Gives me 2 typings that I don't have. Really fast Pokemon overall. Its power level is alright, but you know, paired with a Life Orb or a Choice Specs, it can hit really hard. And I think that, I mean, it gives me a Pokemon that can have a multitude of coverage that I can customize depending on the matchup. So like Focus Blast is there. I mean, it has Grass Knot as well. Surf, always nice to hit ground type Pokemon that it doesn't appreciate. U-turn for like momentum, along with Volt Switch as well is there. So depending on what I want to go for, I have that as an option. And yeah, like Hyper Voice is another stab move there too. Dark Pulse, Dragon Pulse, and whatnot. So great coverage, I think. But it also gives me another mon that can glare things. It also has glare, so along with Serperior, that's another thing that I was really intrigued about. Heliolisk and Serperior both have glare. I have Jirachi for that paralysis with Body Slam or T-Wave and stuff. Gyarados is T-Wave as well. So this is kind of a team that can really sort of utilize paralysis and whatnot to slow down our opponent's teams and get off faster subs, or just be faster in general and hit them up with strong attacks or faster setup. So that's another option for us there. And that was my 8th pick. I think it's really solid overall. A decent mon that I've actually never used before. So this team is kind of a mix of Pokemon that I've used a lot in the past. Like maybe like one Pokemon that I've used quite recently in Kyurem, and a lot of new Pokemon that I'm excited to try out as well, since there's going to be 3 drafts, right? 3 drafts in total. So I can't really guarantee that I'm going to get all brand new Pokemon, but I definitely want Pokemon that are good and different. So each time I'm going to try to get different mons so that I can have a great variety of options. Should we make it to playoffs, I'll have that versatility in all the mons that I've picked to sort of build the perfect team for playoffs. So we're going to be moving on now to the 9th pick. It's the tier 4 mon that I picked up, which would go into my free point value that I had. And I decided to pick up an old friend from GBA Season 6. I'm sure you guys remember if you were watching. Wobbuffet. I got Wobbuffet here. So as a tier 4 mon, why did I pick up Wobbuffet? I think it's worth the value because it's a Shadow Tag user at tier 4. So it will be able to trap things with Shadow Tag. People can prep for it, but it just gives this team a nice extra layer for people that they have to worry about Wobbuffet now too, because they can run like a Choice Scarf or something, or some kind of Pokemon that could just attack and things like that, but then we could trap it with Wobbuffet and get rid of it. And if we get rid of a Pokemon that can pose a big problem or just be a big threat to our team overall, then that sort of opens up a lot of different types of doors. So people have to worry about Wobbuffet if I'm going to bring it or not, but I think for the value that it is at tier 4, great mon, I think, with Shadow Tag. And yeah, overall, like it can just mirror coat counter things, trap stuff. It can force people to run shed shells and just not have their useful items on it. So I don't know, I think it's a great mon overall. It did pretty well in GBA Season 6, but I think it can work even better now because Shadow Tag, I think, it's been banned from the regular like OU and whatnot for a long time now. So maybe people are like less used to it as they were previously when it was allowed, but I think it's a cool mon and people have to really kind of watch out for this thing. And I think that sort of extra thing that we're just putting in people's minds will help us out a lot in the long run, especially with the threats that we have. We have so many threats on our team that can definitely put in work. I mean, Wobbuffet also gives me that Encore. It gives me Encore so that I can lock some people into a move or something, lock some Pokemon into a move, try to set up with something like Gyarados or Superior even. So that's another option. Safeguard is there too as a way that we can sort of prevent status and switch into Pokemon that would otherwise maybe get statused. Encore Safeguard or something could work. Not a really big move pool, but it's a Pokemon that can get the job done, I think, in terms of getting rid of counters that we would want to get rid of. So the next Pokemon that I picked up here is going to be Tier 5. So the last two slots, I have a Tier 5 slot and a free pick for a Tier 5. I've already used up a lot of points as it is. So I decided to pick up another familiar face from the latest GBA season. Just like Kyurem, I picked up a Magmortar as my Tier 5 slot. And shout out to Jolt, Billy Drum Magmortar sweep in GBA semifinals. Good mon. It's really solid because it has that decent speed. It's outrunning base 80s since it's at a base 83 speed. So that's a very I think unique speed tier in terms of us outrunning the base 80s like Togekiss and stuff, I think, are also base 80. Gardevoir, regular Gardevoir, things like that, I guess. And yeah, like other than that, just a great mon. I've explained it, I think, in my GBA video that I did for the last season. It's a Pokemon that actually no, I picked this up towards the end of the season. I'm pretty sure, so I didn't explain it too well. But this thing has some nice speed def, great fire type Pokemon with Flame Body and Vital Spirit. So this thing is also immune to sleep if I go the Vital Spirit route. With Flame Body, chances are always nice to versus like U-turns and stuff. And this thing is just great in running AV and like Z moves. Like it can do Z Solar Beam, it can do a wide variety of Z moves that I think can work pretty well. Great coverage overall and decent stats as well. Just the defense is kind of bad, but every other stat's pretty decent, pretty solid overall, especially the special attack. So cool mon. And finally, the last and final pick that I got here is gonna be something that like I was thinking to myself, like, what's gonna be a final pick? Like this pick I wasn't really too focused on as much because it's just a Tier 5. But I decided to pick up Golurk as another Pokemon I thought could be really unique. It gives me another ground type Pokemon. It's also a ghost type, so it gives me one of those that I don't currently have, a Spin Blocker. And another Pokemon that can click rocks if I wanted to. More sort of a dedicated rocker in terms of us having the option for Jirachi, Mega Diancie, Gliscor, and Golurk now as rockers. And it's also just a really hard-hitting physical attacker with the ability, I think, 2 useful abilities in Iron Fist and No Guard. Klutz is probably not as useful, but I think that Golurk, it's kind of slow, but it does have access to a speed boosting move in Rock Polish, and just great coverage with like Earthquake, nice Shadow Punch with the Iron Fist, maybe Elemental Punches, hits really hard. Stealth Rocker, it can do that too. And back in the day, I think Mega Magua used this Pokemon. I'm pretty sure I actually beat him in my first YouTube draft game with versus him, GBA Season 6 Week 1. It was like Jirachi versus Golurk. I ended up beating it, so but I definitely wanted to try it out myself because I think it can be pretty cool. And that's gonna be the team. So hope you guys enjoyed hearing about my picks and I guess kind of why I picked them. I feel like the team kind of fits pretty well together overall, and I'm only gonna have this team for like 4 weeks and then we're gonna draft again. So you'll be seeing another draft analysis, and I guess that's kind of interesting because you'll get to see sort of different builds in the same season. Like you'll just see like a lot of different builds from me. So I always love to like I said, I always love the drafting aspect of draft leagues and just the creativity that goes into it. I will be fighting my week 1 opponent, I think, next weekend, and also GBA is going to be next weekend as well. So I hope you are excited for both. Not really sure how much time and effort I can put into this with my work and my job and stuff like that, but I'm definitely here in it to have fun, and that's gonna be sort of more what they're gonna be about, what these 2 leagues are gonna be about. And yeah, drop a like if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.